Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Best You podcast. This podcast exists to help you be a more competent, higher character person so that you can live a life of more meaning and impact. Today's topic is going to be all about how to set the right goals in 2026. You see, every single year, it just frustrates the hell out of me. People rinse and repeat the same process, and I used to be in this way too. We would set big goals at the beginning of the year. We'd start strong, then we'd fade off, and then we'd have periods of time of getting back on track, but we'd never follow through consistently. And then we'd rinse and repeat every January. Today, I'm going to talk about a proven system that has worked for me for about 8+ years and for everybody that I've taught it to. It's a proven system that allows you to pick the right goal in the right season of life. It allows you to stay focused on that goal amidst all the other distractions that you have going on. And it keeps the other areas of your life afloat. All right, it's that time of year. It is getting towards the end of 2025. We are fast approaching 2026. The holiday season is going to be over and done before we know it. And I don't want you to rinse and repeat the same BS process that so many of us do at the beginning of the calendar year. And that's set big goals, start strong, fade off, and have mediocre levels of follow through. And then we end the year frustrated with ourselves, but with a whole high renewed sense of hope that next year is going to be different. Next year needs to be different. Next year needs to be different for me. Next year needs to be different from you. You know why? Because other people in your life are counting on you. I have other people in my life counting on me. Kennedy is relying on me. Our future kids, we're not pregnant or anything, but at some point, hopefully in the future, we're going to be having kids, and they are relying on me. There are so many people who are relying on me, and that's not that's not supposed to sound arrogant. Like, I feel a sense of duty, a sense of responsibility that I have to increase my competence. I have to do more. I have to do better to be able to provide for the different people in my life. And like, you're the same way. There's people in your life who are counting on you to show up as your best self. If you don't, those people are not going to necessarily like die, and it's not the end of the world, but they're certainly not going to thrive. You could help them in so many big ways if you just became your best self, if you just worked diligently and appropriately on the goals that you have for 2026. So let's talk about how that process actually works. But before we do, we're going to be opening up a gym in 2026, Best You HQ, and I cannot wait. I almost can't fall asleep at night getting so excited about visualizing that space and all the people in it and all the different cool things that we can do with it. We're going to have founding membership pricing that's going to be limited to a certain number of people. We're going to have amazing classes. We're not exactly sure where or when we're going to open up yet, but I want you to get the behind the scenes information about all of it by going to nickcarrier.com/bestyouhqnews. Best You HQ News. Go to that, join the waitlist so you can first get the insider information about kind of where we're looking to open up the gym, maybe when we're looking to open up the gym, and then you're also going to be the first to get access to the limited number of founding membership pricing options that we're going to have, and it's going to be awesome. Go to nickcarrier.com/bestyouhqnews to stay up to date on that info. All right, so let's talk about proper goal setting for 2026. We talk about this at the Best You Retreat. This is kind of the framework with which we discuss at the Best You Retreat that people work through, and I feel so passionate about it. So a number of years ago, I came up with my definition of the best version of yourself. I want to tell it to you today. The definition of your best you is this: the version of you that is most competent and reciprocal. The version of you who can solve the greatest number of problems and take advantage of the greatest number of opportunities, both for yourself and others. Now, let me break this down a little bit. The version of you that's most competent and reciprocal. Competence. To me, I break down competence as having knowledge, skills, and experience. You have competency in different things. You have knowledge, skills, and experience. Being reciprocal, or having reciprocity, is having the character to help other people with your different skills that you have. So we want to have knowledge, skills, and experience, and we want to be reciprocal with those things. So that's why the extension of the definition is the version of you who can solve the greatest number of problems and take advantage of the greatest number of opportunities. Before I move on, problems and opportunities. How do those get solved? Knowledge, skills, and experience. The problems that you experience on a daily life, you solve them with knowledge, skills, and experience. When opportunities are thrusted in front of you, How do you take advantage and seize those opportunities? You need to have the proper knowledge, skills, and experience. And then when you're reciprocal, you can help other people with their problems and their opportunities as well. And so my definition of the best version of yourself is the version of you who is competent and reciprocal, the version of you who is most competent and reciprocal, because that person can solve the greatest number of problems for themselves. Whatever problems come their way, they can face them. Whatever opportunities are opened up in front of them, boom, they can seize them. And this person doesn't just do it for themselves. They can help other people with their problems and their opportunities. Doesn't sound like a badass? And to me, I get more and more convicted every year by this definition, because to me, that's kind of who Jesus Christ was. Jesus Christ was somebody who could solve all problems, could take advantage of all opportunities, and he certainly just didn't do that for himself. He served others, and he was reciprocal. And so, to me, that's a great North Star ideal to be able to attack. It's not something that you ever become. We never become the best version of ourselves. It's this North Star ideal that we always look to progress towards as we live our life. Now, problems and opportunities. We all experience those in 6 different areas of our life: our health, our personal life, our career, our finances, our spiritual life, and our relationships. And so we're always experiencing, it's impossible to live life without problems and opportunities. We're always experiencing them to different degrees, in different amounts, in different seasons of our life. And so we have to figure out how to find the right dance, how to find the right balance of when we have multiple problems in multiple areas of life. We can't solve them all at the same time. Why? Because we have limited bandwidth. We have limited finite resources of time, energy, and attention. And if we think about it, the way that we all live our lives is we have these finite resources of time, energy, and attention. Let's just break it down to a day. We have 24 hours. And we have those 24 hours that we allocate across these 6 different areas of our life: our health, our personal life, our career, our finances, our spiritual life, and our relationships. We make sleep for 8 hours a night. Most of you probably don't. I know I don't. But I try to get close. I try to get above 7, but a little bit hard. Anyways, so we'd say we have 16 hours throughout the day. We allocate those 16 different hours to our job, to our family, to working out, to cooking, to all these different things. And we are, most of us subconsciously, but if we're living life as intentional as possible, then we're consciously kind of allocating our time, energy, and attention to these different areas in an intentional manner. And so I think the best way to live life is to be able to allocate our time, energy, and attention to the areas of life that we need to allocate them to at the right times. And we're all in different seasons of our life currently as you listen to this. Like you might be in a season of life where you're kicking ass in your health. You're working out a lot, you're eating good, but maybe your career is off. Or maybe the other way around. Maybe you're kicking ass in your career, but you hadn't worked out in a few months. Or maybe you haven't been on a date night with your significant other in a long time. And maybe your relationship is kind of weird where you can tell you're not having the conversations that you need to be having. And so we're all in a season of life where we're thriving to certain degrees better in some areas of life than others. And the way that I like to think about this is we need to evaluate the season of life that we're in. And so if you want to actually take notes with this, I would encourage you to do so. This is what I do with people at the Best Year Retreat. I'm like, okay, our health, our personal life, our career, our finances, our spiritual life, our relationships. Go ahead and reflect on those 6 areas and give yourself a score on a scale of 1 to 5. Like, how are you performing in each of those 6 areas on a scale of 1 to 5? 5 would be I'm kicking ass in this area. My habits are good. I'm getting the outcomes that I want, all that sort of thing. 1 is I suck in this area. I'm really frustrated. I'm really sad. I'm anxious. I'm not getting the results I want. I don't have any good habits in this area, or whatever that might be. So I would encourage you to take the time, if you are actually going to be goal setting in 2026, to rank yourself 1 to 5 in each of these 6 areas. Then you look at your ranking. And my recommendation is that you solve the biggest frustration first. Let's say you have a 5, a 4, 2 3s, a 2, and a 1. That 1 is probably dragging down the other 5. That one area that you scored yourself a 1, it's probably dragging down the other 5 areas of life. And if it's not dragging it down now, it will. Because one of the principles that I believe wholeheartedly in is that if you neglect one area of your life, it will have negative consequences on all other areas of life. And it's not a matter of if there's going to be negative consequences, it's a matter of when. And the duration of neglect will be directly correlated to the magnitude of the consequence. So for example, if you don't work out for one day, you're not going to have negative consequences. If you don't work out for a decade, huge negative consequences. If you don't work out for a year, somewhere in the middle. And so the duration of neglecting your health, the period of time during which you neglect your health, will be directly correlated to how much of the negative consequence, to the size of the negative consequence that you experience. If you don't go on a date night with your wife this month, probably not going to be a massive ordeal. If you don't do it the entire year, there might be some animosity. If you don't do it for an entire decade, she's probably gone. And so we need to take this seriously. If you're a 1, it's hard to look yourself in the mirror and be like, I am sucking in this area of life. But if you just decide not to look in the mirror, it's not going to get any better. And you're going to wake up 10 years down the road and she is going to be gone. Or you're going to go to the doctor's appointment and you're like, what the hell happened? How am I so out of shape? And so while it's painful to look yourself in the mirror and see that I'm a 1 or a 2 in this area, we have to do it. We have to confront that negative situation of not being where we want to be. We have to confront the fact that we are currently failing in a particular area of life. But that's exciting because when you see where you're failing, where you see why you might be so anxious, it gives you the agency to make it better. It gives you the agency to make change. And so, okay, now that you have a ranking from 1 to 5 at all 6 areas of your life, now it's like, I see I'm a 1 or I see I'm a 2 here. This is the area of life that I need to allocate more time, energy, and attention than I am currently allocating. Because that's kind of the sign that it's telling you. If I'm a 1 or a 2 in an area, like I am not providing enough focus to this area. I'm not providing enough time, energy, and attention to this area. I've got to do something about this. And so this is where I like to use the term spike and manage. We want to spike in that area of life that we're frustrating. Spiking means that we are allocating more time, energy, and attention to that area for the sake of growth. And so if you're really struggling in your health, decide that in the beginning of 2026, you're going to drop some other things and you're going to spend more time, energy, and attention in your health. If your relationship with your significant other is at a 1 or a 2, or maybe even it's a 3, and that's causing a lot of anxiety, decide that decide now, but decide that you're going to start changing your habits. Decide that you're going to do something differently to bring that 1 up to a 3, or to bring that 3 up to a 4, to make it better, because you can make it better. And one of the things that's important to understand is that while you're spiking in one is you don't want to completely forget about the other ones. You want to find a way to manage some of the other areas of life as well through different habits that you're doing, through different things, through different other things that you might be accomplishing and things of that nature. And so the way that you set the right goals to begin 2026, I'm going to round it out with this, is that you look at the different areas of your life. You look at your health, your personal life, your career, your finances, your spiritual life, and your relationship, and you rank yourself. You reflect, how well am I performing in each of these 6 areas? Give yourself a score of 1 to 5. It might be painful to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're a 1 or a 2 in a particular area, but hey, you have to confront the fact that you're, quote, losing if you want to start winning. If you don't confront the fact that you're losing, you will blind yourself to the fact that you're losing for so long until the fact that you're losing so big is unavoidable. You can lose so big. You can blind yourself to the fact that you're losing in your health for so long. And then it gets to the point where you have lost so bad where it's going to be really hard to come back from. So don't be the person where you lose so big and it's your fault. And it's your fault because you could have known that you were losing if you were willing to confront the reality. If you were willing to look yourself in the mirror and be like, I am a 1 in this area. I am a 2 in this area. When you see that area that you are most frustrated in, that you are performing worst in, decide now that in January 2026, you're going to do something different. Decide that you're going to change your level of focus in that area. You can decide which habits are you going to change. What are you going to start doing? What are you going to stop doing? What are you doing that you're just haphazardly doing? You need to do it more. You need to do it more consistently. What goal could you achieve that would take you from a 2 to a 4? How many date nights would you need to go on for your relationship to go from a 2 to a 4? How would you need to walk in the front door every single day at the end of the workday to change your relationship from a 2 to a 3? What would that need to look like? Your health. What are you a 2 at right now? What would you have had to say for yourself to be a 4? What would needed to be true for you to have written down at 4? Would it be like you could run faster? Would it be you can do more push-ups? Would it be a certain number on the scale? Would it be a certain body fat percentage? Like, what would signify to you that you're no longer a 2, you're actually a 4? And set that as the goal. That's how you set the right goals in 2026. You reflect upon the season of life that you're in. You're willing to confront the fact that you're losing. You're willing to take that hard look at yourself and confront it. And then you change your focus. That's the recipe for success. That's the recipe for actual change. That's the recipe to change this same old rinse and repeat narrative that so many people have each year. High hopes, high goals, strong start, fade off, mediocre levels of execution for the next few months, and then they forget about it by June, July, August. Don't let that be you. Make 2026 different. Make 2026 your best year. And if you want to come to the Best You Retreat, go to nickcarrier.com/bestyouretreat. We'd love to have you. We go much further into detail. We have 3 long days of making sure that everybody walks away fired up with clarity of what season of life they're in and what goal that they're attacking. So go to nickcarrier.com/bestyouretreat to sign up for that. Also, don't forget we're opening up a gym in 2026, and if you want to be a part of the best new gym in Nashville, the most encouraging, and the gym that is guaranteed to actually get you results, then go to nickcarrier.com/bestyouhqnews to get the behind-the-scenes insider information about when we're opening, where we're opening, founding membership pricing, and the limited availability that it's going to be. So go to nickcarrier.com/bestyouhqnews. I feel like today was a serious episode, and I feel like I laid into you a little bit and myself a little bit because it's hard to look at the fact that we're underperforming, but hey, we need to hold ourselves to high standards, and we can't let that debilitate us. We have to let that energize us. I love that. We can't let it debilitate us. We have to let it energize us and go into 2026 with a freaking full head of steam. I'm fired up. I'm ready for 2026. It's November 29th at the time that I'm recording this. I wish it was January 1 because I'm ready. I'm not waiting to plan this stuff. I'm going. All right, enough of this. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope it allows you to get closer to your health and fitness goals, and ultimately, I hope it allows you to get closer and closer to your best you.